Welcome to this Word of Hope. It's Friday, November 8th of the 31st week in Ordinary Time, Friday after the election. And often in elections, no matter how you feel and where you are in your own reflection about what happened on Tuesday night, I think there is a universal call that Father Scott talked about in yesterday's video that I'd like to expound upon, that I believe that St. Paul in his letter to the Philippians in today's reading expounds upon. And that is that we are called for hope, called to hope, to be people of hope. Hope isn't a calculus. It's not a sort of just an assessment of what things that are here and then shall I be happy or sad, or will I get a good outcome or negative outcome? That's optimism and pessimism. Hope is a mindset and an understanding of who am I in the world with God and for God, based on one simple thing. Christ destroyed death and promised eternal life, making us pilgrims on this earth. That whatever happens on this earth, this isn't the end-all, be-all. Hopeful people don't gloat in victory. Don't see that victory as I've finally achieved and therefore I have received the heights of all things. Truly hopeful, Christian hopeful people understand that there is even greater than the optimism we might feel. And that greaterness, that eternal life with God, is the thing toward which we strive. And in whatever optimism we may feel, always still calls us to an account to understand our duty toward achieving that ultimate goal through faith, hope, and love. Hopeful people also don't easily fall into despair, where the pessimism, the sense of sadness, or the sense of how in the world is this ever going to be able to be rectified, understands that the here and the now, whatever it might be, isn't the end-all be-all. It's not the final story. The final story is Christ's victory. And so we don't easily fall into despair, but are empowered by hope, empowered by that life to be able to do with the time that has been given us in the way that Christ calls us to, and that is to be people of hope and love. Paul calls about these enemies of the cross in our first reading today. Those people who really don't have hope, but rather are clinging to a strength of their own end, which is a very small-minded understanding of what their purpose is in the world. And their reward is going to be an optimism or a pessimism, and that's the fate of their life. But a hopeful people hold on to that one great truth, that God has loved us, has sent his Son, and has promised eternal life, has conquered death. And us, to achieve that, are meant to be imitators of Christ. And that's what Paul calls his people. To see one another as Christ sees us. To push everyone, whether pessimistic or optimistic, to the life that leads to the greatest good. To be people of God. To love one another as God has loved us. To treat and love our neighbors as we would ourselves. We are called at this moment, however you may feel, to be people of hope. And then that goodness that comes from hope that is of God himself may pass to the world for the greater good and for God's glory. Have a great day.